excited to present today's topic, which is QuickBooks Enhanced Payroll, simplifying payroll for business. We're going to cover what it is, the differences between the other versions. I will talk briefly about pricing, and then we're going to go through the getting started piece of this. Just to let everyone know ahead of time, this is not a how to run payroll. This is how to get started and why to use QuickBooks Enhanced Payroll primarily. That would be another topic. Okay, so first of all, what is QuickBooks Enhanced Payroll? In short, it is an add-on module. So it's an extra thing you get with QuickBooks Desktop accounting software. Okay, it is meant to help you manage payroll. If anyone has ever tried to do payroll manually, you will know why this is vitally important. It's suitable for both small and medium-sized enterprises, and the specific on Enhanced is this is really good for those businesses who are looking to handle their own electronic tax payments and filings themselves. Why do I say that? Because if you do want to have the filings handled automatically for you, that is where you would go into Assisted. So let me just take a quick overview of where we're at least at this time. Anybody who's worked with QuickBooks knows things change. So as of right now, the QuickBooks has several offerings under their online service. These can also be standalone, so you don't have to have a QuickBooks Online subscription to use these. They have a core, premium, and elite. I'm not going to get into the details of those. That's not part of this topic, but just letting you know that they're there and there are different levels. In QuickBooks Desktop, there is no longer a basic or standard that was discontinued, and anyone that was on it has been moved automatically over to Enhanced. So now your options are Enhanced or Assisted. The primary difference between the two is that Enhanced, you pay your own taxes. You handle the taxes and the filings yourself, while Assisted, Intuit does it for you. That's the primary difference. One really important note here. Intuit will no longer be selling any new subscriptions to Enhanced Payroll after July 30th. So as of July 31st, if you haven't subscribed already, you will not have that option. You'll be going into Assisted. So if you are interested, if this is something that you think would be great for you, a good fit, now is the time to jump on that. If you're already in it, you don't have to worry. They're going to continue to support it, at least my understanding through the 3 years. It typically supports each version, but it will not let you buy a new one. Okay, features and benefits, specifically of Enhanced Payroll. Automated payroll processing, right? So it's going to automatically process your payroll based on preset schedules. The benefit to that is that it reduces that administrative burden, allows you to focus on your business activities. It will handle tax compliance and calculations. And again, if you've ever done this manually, this is a huge benefit for accuracy and compliance, but it will calculate your federal, state, and local taxes. Okay, it has a module there to allow you to do e-filings and e-payments directly from the platform. It allows for direct deposit and check printing, so you can have direct deposit for your employees. Most employees really like that, so that's definitely a benefit. There is an employee self-service portal. Employees can access their pay stubs and tax documents. They can also do some of the setup themselves, which is very helpful. Helps both sides, the employee as well as the HR administrator. Okay, couple more. Comprehensive reporting. We've got pretty detailed payroll reports that provide insights into payroll expenses and trends so that businesses can make informed financial decisions. Integration with accounting, specifically with QuickBooks. Customizable payroll setup. You can customize the different options and settings for deductions, allowances, and benefits such as retirement plan contributions. And support and security. It is backed by robust security protocols. It's supported by a dedicated customer service team. Security is always important. Okay, pricing considerations. Have to give that little caveat here. Disclaimer, this is subject to change at any time, but as of right now, the information that's published is that with QuickBooks Enhanced Payroll, it provides to file and pay federal, state payroll taxes. Again, not automatically, you would still do it, but it allows for that. And it also allows for electronically filed W-2s. The fees, you're looking at about $55 a month or $550 if billed annually. There is a $6 per month, not per pay run. That's different, something to consider if you're looking at other payrolls, payroll companies, because it's usually per run, but it's $6 per month per active employee. No direct deposit fees for employees. There is a fee for contractors if you're using direct deposit. Now, the real good news here is if you have QuickBooks Enterprise, Gold or Platinum Edition, it is included with your subscription. And Fourlane has an excellent discount and could get you preferred pricing on Enterprise if you're not in it and would like to do that. Reach out to us and we can get you that pricing and help you save money on this. Okay, so now let's roll into the getting started piece. First step, I'm going to walk through this and kind of take you through the steps, talk about any hints as we go along. First thing you want to do is to make sure you have it turned on in Preferences. So that's under your Edit button. If you go down to Preferences, you will see a tab for Payroll, like you see here, where it says Payroll and Employees, and you'll want to make sure that Full Payroll is turned on. Okay. You'll notice there are additional options for pay stub and voucher printing and sick and vacation accruals. You can select that if you want to here, as well as a couple of different options underneath. Okay, once you've done that, then you go to the Employees tab of your desktop. There you'll see a list for payroll, and then you have to turn it on. Once you turn it on, it will populate with all the options for payroll. Okay, now that you've got it turned on, you have to actually activate your payroll subscription. The way you will do that is to enter in your payroll service key that you should have gotten when you purchased your subscription. So what you will do is go under Employees, Payroll again, and then there will be an option for Enter Service Key. Once you're there, you'll see a screen similar to what you see here on the right, and you will go ahead and add your payroll key and register it. Okay? Once you do this the first time, you should not have to do any of this again. Actually, that's going to kind of be the case for everything we're going through today. But this is an important piece that some people get stuck on. So don't forget the payroll service key. Once you do this, you will go through a quick little wizard that says review information for your payroll subscription. That's just going to verify your information against your service key. Go ahead and just click through those, make sure everything looks correct, and move forward. One thing I will give you a little hint for, there is going to be an option that comes up that says make the payroll for the payroll administrator email. We've run into this a lot where the, say, office manager or head employee or the person who was running payroll at the time set themselves up as the payroll administrator, and then they're no longer with the company, and their email cannot be accessed. You want to make sure that you're setting the payroll administrator to an email that's one secure and that can also be accessible even if that important employee leaves, because you are going to need that, okay? Something comes up, you're going to have it, and they won't talk to anybody else. So it's important. Trust me on that one. Okay, let's move on forward. The next step you're going to get to is to actually go through your payroll setup. Okay, now you have your payroll turned on. Next up is to get the information in. So under employees, same tab, you're going to see an option for setup payroll. Go ahead and launch that. This is the setup wizard, and it's going to take you kind of screen by screen for all the information that you need to enter to get up and running. The first screen that you're going to get to is to start adding employees, okay? You will notice that there is an option for express setup or detailed setup. For our purposes of today, I'm doing the express setup. The difference is the express is kind of just like it says. You can get in there with a minimum amount of details and requirements. That doesn't mean that you probably aren't going to need to want to go back in and edit some of those items and get all the deductions and compensation and taxes fully set up. But this is a quick way to get started, okay? That's the difference, express or detailed. I'll also mention, if you see here at the bottom, there is a new employer guide and a payroll setup checklist hyperlink. If you haven't done this before, it's a good idea to go ahead and get those documents. It will help you understand payroll in the guide and then get the documents you need ahead of time before you get running on this. All right, so the first screen you're going to get to is going to be to add your employees, which probably would expect, and that's exactly what it is. So here you're going to add in your basic employee details. You're going to need your name, you're going to need their state, hire date, social security number, email address. You want to put all that information in. Okay. After you get through that, you'll get to compensation. All right. And here you'll be able to select if they're hourly or salary, how much it is. You put in their pay frequency. You have the option here in the screen to select time off policies and what their accruals are today. You can enter in the benefits and deductions. Now, I will say that when you're in the screen, and if you click the drop-down menu, and I'm referring to the middle one here where it says QuickBooks Payroll Setup, which I hope everyone can see okay, there is a drop-down next to the item for your compensation type. Already embedded in QuickBooks are several default types. If what you need is one of them, great, it's already set up for you. If it's not, you have the option to add the item. If you add the item, you'll just put in what type it is and how it's paid out. It's pretty simple to do. Just like all of the other vendor fields or customer fields or what have you in QuickBooks, it allows you to do that add new if it's not there on the drop down. That's the case here as well. So to continue where we were, you can put in the compensation detail. So like salary, you'd put in either the total amount, the percentage, the year, if it's by year, by month, by pay run, whatever it happens to be, time off accruals. And you can also select if there's any benefits and deductions. Again, they're going to pull up your standard stuff. If it's something beyond that, which it very well may in this case, all you need to do is to add new, and you will go through another short little wizard to add in the details of that benefit or employer contribution, whatever that happens to be. I recommend that you have, if you don't know off the hand exactly what it is and how it's set up, like pre-tax, post-tax, that you have that documentation in front of you. Okay? All right, so we've gone through basic employee details that you're going to need, the compensation setup, pay frequency, benefits and deductions, time off. It'll also ask you for personal details. That's going to be like your date of birth for the employee, the address, phone number, emergency details if you have it, kind of thing. Okay. Next, you will get to the payment method. Here you're going to want to select whether it is going to be a physical check or direct deposit. If you're selecting a direct deposit, you'll need to have the bank routing information to select it. And you can select up to 2 different accounts and split the check. And then last, you will get to tax details. This is the tax details for your employee. So this is the information that you would get off of the W-4 form, okay? You will identify whether you have the old form or the new form typically, and you will put in the exemptions, married, found single, that kind of information, the state, what taxes they're subject to. And then you'll just hit finalize and it will take you to the next screen. Okay, so again, stuff you need to know when you're adding in your employees: the name, birth date, hire date, address, pay rate, deductions or benefits, contributions, if any, your W-4, any sick, vacation, PTO accruals, and bank information if you've got direct deposit. So you want to have all of that in front of you as you go into this. By the way, I will mention you can save this at any time and come back to it. So don't feel like you're going to lose all the data you've put in if you have to stop the module prematurely. You would just again go back to employees, payroll, payroll setup, and you would continue where you left off. Okay, so that said, now we have entered in the employees. One thing to mention is if, let's say, well, we're in May, right? If you had John Smith working for you in January and then was terminated, you still need to have John Smith, even though he's no longer an active employee. So anybody who has been paid during the current year, you're going to want to put the information in. The reason is because QuickBooks is going to be generating your tax returns, including the W-2s at the end of the year. So we do need to have that information entered in to properly calculate. Okay, going back. So the next step, we are going to add the pay history. If you have not run payroll yet, this is you just new company, just getting started, you do not have to do this step. You just hit no, we haven't paid, and move on. The majority of people are going to have pay history, and that's okay. It's just going to take a little bit of time to put in the data. So you would select, yes, we have paid employees in 2024. Again, the reason is so that you can have the correct forms generated for you for the year. Okay, now when you do this, it gives you 2 options. Number 1, you can select entering the data in a consolidated fashion, okay? Or it could be non-consolidated. What does that mean? If it's consolidated, you can put in the totals by quarter. If it's non-consolidated, you're going to be putting in the totals paycheck by paycheck. As you can imagine, that can become very daunting, especially if you had weekly payroll. So my preference is to use the quarterly totals, but there may be occasions where somebody wants to put in those details, and that's perfectly fine. But once you select it, you cannot change it if you come back to it. So make sure you select what you want to do. Okay, so as you're going into this, what are you going to need? You are going to want to have the pay stubs or payroll reports, preferably, broken out by quarter for each employee that has been paid this year. So as you can see, what you're going to come up with is you will be putting in their wages, their earnings, basically compensation, the total of their taxes, and if you scroll down, you would also see any contributions or deductions made. So again, you're going to use the quarterly total per employee, look at that report for that employee, and you're going to be transferring the data from that report into this form. Okay, the end of this will give you the option to put in the net pay. I always recommend you do just to check yourself and make sure nothing was put in accidentally an error. So you'll go through each employee for each quarter and enter in this information. If you choose to do this non-consolidated, you'll be putting this in the same way, but paycheck to paycheck. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit of time depending on how long and how much data, how many employees, and how far into the year, but it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple to do. Once you get through that, we're going to be coming into the next step, which is to put in the tax liability reports. Okay, so now you have entered in your employee details. You've entered in their pay history. The next step, and you will see right here, this is the payroll setup looks like, is you will be going to the tax payments. You will put this in by quarter. These are the liability payments you have made to the government this year. So for example, your 941 deposits. Maybe you've made one in January, February, and March. You're going to need to put those in. The idea here is QuickBooks needs to calculate what you actually owe, what's outstanding. So you want to put this information in. Notice, just a quick notice here, if you look at this payroll setup screen, see these little green circles. What you want to see is that check mark. That means it's complete. The half green means there's still some information that is needed to be entered. Okay, so now you've put in the tax payments. The next option you get is to put in non-tax payments. So these are the payments that would relieve liabilities captured through payroll for payments to like health insurance, pension plans, basically anything that's run through payroll that is not a tax agency. You'll have the opportunity to put those in as well. And that will finish up this module. So you'll hit that, hit finish up, and it will close out and bring you to the Payroll Center. Before we actually get into the Payroll Center though, I want to bring up a couple other things that you're going to want to set up if you went through that express setup. Specifically, the payroll items. These are set up by default, but you want to go in and you want to make sure everything's correct. So where you go is to lists, then you go to payroll items. Under that, you will see a list very similar to this. To edit it, you would just click in it, right click, and you would be able, right click, edit, sorry, and it will pull up the information for that item, and you can just scroll through it, make sure everything looks good. So the specific things I would recommend you look at would be making sure like your state unemployment rates are correct. Your FUTA rate is set up correctly, that your account information is in there, that you have the agency entered, right? That'll make things easier. So you just want to make sure everything is set up properly. This is also where you would go to change mappings to where to post into your chart of accounts, by the way. Everything in here right now is just going to be set up as a default. And then the next thing I recommend you do, also under list, you'll see Payroll Schedule, okay? You can also get to it from the Payroll Center, but this is where I usually go to it. And here you'll want to go ahead and set up the frequency and pay periods. Now, we already told QuickBooks that some employees are on certain schedules, which is fine. Like you could see it already put in the biweekly because that's what we had selected. But you would want to go ahead and actually tell it what does biweekly mean. So you'll give it a name, like biweekly works. What is the pay period end date? So what does the paycheck, your next paycheck, cover hours through, right? Is it last Friday? Whatever it happens to be. That's what you're going to put it to. And then what date should appear on the paychecks for this pay period? So if it ended, let's say last Sunday, and they're paid on Friday, those are the dates to put in. That's going to create a pay schedule bi-weekly, and that's how it's going to calculate the dates. Okay. All right. With that, you're pretty much ready to go. I wanted to take a moment and give you a quick overview of the Payroll Center, because this is the place that you go for payroll and where everything pretty much is connected. So this is where you'll spend some time, and it's important that you understand what it all means. So just a quick overview. Right here under A, you can see a tab for employees. If you click on it, it's going to take you to Employee Center. The B is going to take you to payroll transactions. The C is where you currently are, and that's under the Payroll Center. The D is up here in the very top screen, and that is for the setup stuff. So you can see like Payroll Setup, you can get there, your forms, preferences, all the back-end things. We'll take you there. E is going to be the Pay Employee screen. F will be when you pay liabilities. You can go to that screen. G is when you're ready to file forms. H is for benefits. If they're Intuit benefits, it'll be there. I, down here, over here to the right, is the button you hit to pay employees. This particularly is unscheduled payrolls. And the J next to it is for a scheduled payroll. Once you have that payroll period set up, they will appear here in that list. K will show you any of the recent payrolls that have been run. Once they have been run, there's nothing here, so obviously there's nothing listed. And last, the L on the very bottom is going to give you some guides. It's going to give you reports, quick links to things that would be helpful to you to get to. Again, this is the main screen for payroll. And that's it. You've gotten through the setup. You've got everything in you need to. You are ready to roll. So congratulations. That took some doing, but you are ready to go, and you shouldn't have to do that again. It has been my pleasure to talk with you and present this today. My name is Michelle Smith with Fourlane. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck.